All right. Let's roll. Probably got a few more trickling in here. So today we have Mica Sadler from Sadler Real Estate. Micah has went through this. We got to see some of this at eXpCON in Montreal, where he did this in person for a room of about 100. Lots of engaged questions throughout. So I suggest that you guys do ask those questions too. One of the main question askers of Micah, and I don't even know if Micah knows who was asking him all those questions, but that guy has been number one or number two in units in Ontario for the past 6 months now. They have a small team in Sudbury that average 22 to 25 deals per agent. And I've been watching them for like 5 years now. So for him to be like super interested in this, in a smaller community like that, it can be super, super impactful. And then Mike is going to also talk about like how he goes after neighborhoods, and how individual agents can do this, how a group of agents can do this, how a team could do this. Kind of all of those things can come up. So I just encourage you to be like listening for your now self and listening for your future self in this, because there's different tactics that he's going to talk about that, yeah, some of them cost big dough. So you might want to collaborate with someone on that and do something like that. But there's lots of things in here that you can do that are just effort metric, right? Things can cost money or they can cost time. So you have to give up the one that you have. So if you have more time currently, then you can give that up. If you have more money currently, you can give that up. So I just think everyone just kind of take it from their perspective. Don't tune out that, hey, this part isn't for me because I'm not a team leader, or this part isn't, I'm not there yet. It was very, very obvious throughout the room that this was super applicable to everybody's business. And you just kind of have to curve it that way. So um, that's all I have for you. I will keep prodding you for questions as we go.
Yeah, you know what? I'm excited about delivering this one today because I'm not sick with the norovirus and have to fake through an hour in-person presentation. So I am excited to actually deliver this in a good mind and in good health. So ready to get started?
Yeah,
All right, let's do it. Thanks, Greg, for that. Can everybody see my screen?
yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to make that bigger so it's more prevalent? You guys don't need to see me, eh?
We
Let's
see you
do.
twice. We see you twice right now.
You
So
see
like,
my screen and me?
yeah, because you're like top of the speakers as far as the
Yeah,
Zoom.
yeah. Okay, so let me. You should just be able to. How's that?
There we go.
Better?
That's
Okay.
perfect.
Uh, Most of you guys know who I am, so I'm gonna skip through some of these really, really quickly because again, founder of the Real Estate Collective, founder of Sadler Real Estate Group. Obviously, you guys know what those are. 90% of my business comes from relationships and community involvement. The way that I built my business, even in year one, doing 48 transactions. My goal wasn't to like create a ton of lead gen through PPC and Google. Yes, I've done that over the course of time. Yes, I've spent a ton of friggin' money doing it, and I've seen lead acquisition costs go up and quality of lead go down, right? As more people enter into that market. So I've actually retracted back to being and trying to be the community guy, partnering with people like Alan Cayenne and Scott Henderson and like people that are better at being community people than I am and learning their tactics as well. So at no point do I own all of this content and this knowledge. I've certainly stole it from others that are doing it at a much higher rate and a better rate than I am. Okay. Track record, who cares? Let's move on. Okay, so this stat, this one scares me because I want everyone on this call, everyone part of the real estate collective, everyone in our local environment and EXP specifically in our brokerage. I want you all to be the 13% that don't fail because 87% are going to be gone in 5 years. That is an intense stat then I hope that you're listening and you're writing this down. Because if you're at the 5-year mark, I'm just passing it now. Like I'm in my 6th year. Woo! Fucking made it. Yes, I swear. Get over it. 13% of us are going to be here. So what's it take to actually win in this market? What's it going to take to actually get this done? We're going to talk about a couple tactics and strategies on which you can, to Greg's point, if you have time, use your time. If you have a little bit of cash, I hope that today I can at least give you an idea of where to put that cash and collapse time so that you can start making money. Okay. And feel free, guys, if stop me along the way. This doesn't have to be, hi, Jen Richardson. How was your holiday? Good to see you.
Oh, my holidays was awesome.
Yeah,
you should see my epic tan.
well, welcome back. Good to see
Thanks.
you. All right. So let's talk about just the power of specialization. Okay. And we're going to talk about the power of specialization based on social media and what the modern consumer has with regards to access to information. Okay. Because buyers and sellers alike can seek and find out any information that they essentially want at this time. We have become a commodity. So how do we differentiate ourselves? Okay. There's been a massive shift in what the modern consumer can see. They have access to information. They know what their neighbor sold for, right? They don't need to call you anymore or text you, which some still do. I still get calls and texts all the time, like, hey, but they can go to one of 5 different websites to find this information. This isn't new, right? So we need to be more than just realtors that hide information and are become the blockers of that information. We need to become a specialist. We need to become hyper targeted, hyper local specialists that knows what's going on around the corner. We know the developments that's going around down the street. We know if there's a Tim Hortons going on the next block. We know if it's going to be a retirement community. We know if it's going to be a school. You need to focus on being specialists in neighborhoods, not just having a fucking license. Those days are over. And if you're going to sit on that guideline of just being a licensed realtor, you're going to be one of the 87%. And it's becoming harder and harder and harder right now. And if you haven't seen in the last 6 months it becoming harder, well, that's good. That means your business is probably recession-proof. But I assure you, you're probably feeling some pain right now. Okay? All right. Now, we're going to focus on today. Obviously, this is all around geofarming and what is going to happen. How do we position ourselves as a local expert? How do we deepen our connections with the community? That's going to foster trust. It's going to foster credibility and ultimately referrals. Because what's the cost of acquisition to referrals? 0. Right? Now, is it going to take you some time and energy and money to get those referrals? Of course. You're going to have to do flyers. You're going to have to do door knocking. You're going to have to be an expert. You're going to be hyper targeted into a specific neighborhood. You're going to run community events. You're going to do all of these things. These are all things that you're going to do. That costs time and money, but the act of that referral is free. And when you do enough activities to create yourself as an expert, to foster trust and credibility and create long-term relationships, you'll get them again and again and again and again. Your cost of acquisition is going to decline rapidly. And we're going to show you how to do that today. Does everybody on here know what geofarming is? Anybody not, which is okay if you don't. Okay. The way I look at geofarming, own neighborhoods, own markets, become the de facto standard to a neighborhood, own the market share. You're not going to own all neighborhoods. I don't even, if I look at the Waterloo region, I don't even touch Dune, Brigadier and all that. Should I? Yeah, because there's a high rate of return and there's a high turnover. And we're going to actually walk through the steps of how do you identify the proper neighborhood for you based on ethnic background, cultural views, the number of actual transactions, market share. what incumbents are in there, right? And we can actually do the math really quickly. It's very basic. But it's understanding, should I go into that market? Should I go into that neighborhood? Or should I leave that one alone because I'm going to spend a bunch of money and spin my wheels and not really get anywhere, right? But that is geofarming in a nutshell. It's not rocket science. And let's be serious, we're not curing cancer here. We're getting our name out as fast and as much as possible in order to collapse time to sell more real estate. Okay. A lot of the stuff that you're going to see today too on here, they are my pieces that, you know, Jags created or Jill's created or collectively we've created. So like this one, for example, we farm in Idlewood. If you're familiar with Idlewood, kind of by close to Chicopee. This one I really liked because we sell a lot in there. So we started plotting them. So these are all real, actual, you know, like sales that we did. Now you can also add your buys. It's a transaction. So it's not just to say, hey, I sold this many. Like you can see, we sold 12 homes and helped 6 purchases over the last 3 years. There's not a lot of homes that sell in Idlewood. So we have a pretty good market share as far as the transactional process in Idlewood. Okay. So again, I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff that we actually do. We're going to fly through this because there's like 40 slides. And if you want any of this information, you want this deck, you want to tear it apart, you want to steal anything, I will email it to you. I've emailed it to a bunch of agents already after eXpCON Canada, and I'm happy to provide it to you folks. Okay. Doesn't mean you can't show up and just take our slides every week, but it'll certainly help send it back. All right. So what makes us a successful farming agent? What do we do? It is just more than postcards and mailers. I promise you that. Wait, you have to be consistent, provide valuable content that you actually believe and that is authentic to your brand. And we've talked about this in the past. We've heard from Scott Henderson talking about authenticity and in your branding, and that's super, super important. Make sure that there's some kind of brand consistency, right? So all of our flyers essentially kind of look the same. They look and feel. They have our tagline, right? But outside of postcards and mailers, we have to sponsor and host local events. We need to write blogs. We need to understand, you know, what's going on in the community. You know, what are the free events that we're not running? Are there, you know, community garage sales? Are there community barbecues? You know, are you using social media to get to and to add yourself to those community, you know, Facebook pages, for example, right? Door knock to connect. I don't love door knocking. I can't specifically say that I do door knocking. To make myself feel better, I do what's called door knockers. So I will just hang something on somebody's handle. If you're starting out in real estate, door knocking is almost crucial, especially at this day and age. I've never found that I had to do it, and I've never done it. I probably won't do it. But again, that's one thing that I've decided to, instead of my time in door knocking, I spent money sending stuff out, right? And then creating content and blasting that through social. So it's not that I wasn't doing something, it's just I chose to do something else. At the end of the day, you want to collaborate with businesses, and then you want to build relationships with the community. If there's a new, you know, mom, pa shop, like where I live, I have Holly's right next door to my house. I haven't started farming in my immediate subdivision as yet as the historic district. But if I do, and if I did, I would go to Holly's. I would do some kind of, you know, collaboration with Holly's because it's great, gaining a lot of traction. It's actually working really well for me because my truck is literally parked right there. So anybody that goes to Holly's is like, oh, that's where you live. It's free advertising, and Holly's is getting a lot of traction. But that would be something that I would do if I was farming in my immediate neighborhood. Okay, just to give you an idea. All right, so here's the 5 steps we're going to talk about today. Choosing the right farming area. So again, strong turnover neighborhoods, growth potential, not a major incumbent. Like if I go, for example, let's say if I go into Deer Ridge, I know from Deer Ridge I'm going to be fighting Tian Nguyen and I'm going to be fighting Cooper Cody team. I know that already, right? If I go to Elmira, I'm going to be fighting Greggy, right? If I go to Drayton, which I dare not say, I'm going to be fighting the Queen of Drayton, Jen Richards. I'm just not going to do that. It doesn't make sense for me with, again, no real community involvement, no backbone or background in that community, go fight people that have already been in that community, have provided tremendous value over the course of a long period of time. Now, if I live there and I have those community connections, yes, I'm going to go fight them. And I'm going to do it with a very consistent and clear path. But for me, it doesn't make sense. Okay. I'm going to develop my hyperlocal strategy. Again, I'm going to have a very targeted plan. I'm going to create content, and I'm going to create a content calendar for the quarter, if not biannually. And I'm going to show you how that works. We do it quarterly. So I already know, outside of listings, coming soon, things of that nature that are I would say transactional content, I know what my content is for the quarter. And if you don't know what your content is for the quarter, you sit down, you're like, shit, I got to make something today. You're already losing. Get hyper strategic with your approach and your outreach efforts. Engage with the community. So events, sponsorships, local interactions. If you need assistance with this, call Alan. I bet you, if you took everyone on this call and you added all of our community interactions, our sponsorships, access or all the things that you could possibly do in a community, I bet you Alan does more than all of us combined. Without question, I would put money on that. If you need someone to help you engage with the community or come up with a strategy, Alan, are you on this call? I know he is.
I am on this call, and I would be more than happy to sit down and have a coffee, lunch, whatever, with anyone and just talk about ways to engage with the community, how you can actually do it to leverage your business, and the right things to be doing when you're considering your community engagement and connectivity. I'm always willing to sit down and talk about that because I love it. It's my passion.
Alan did a masterclass on this as well. The recording is on the Real Estate Collective website. Alan, thank you. And the one thing that I loved about that is it's authentic. So you're not trying to leverage business. It just naturally occurs because people, just like anything else, want to know what you do. Right. And by the time that they figure that out, they're like, well, why would I use anyone else? This guy is an absolute beauty. Like, there's no need to go seek anyone or anything else. I have my agent already. And that's I am. Right. So if you need some help coming up with a plan and getting strategic on how to engage with the community, that's your guy. Okay. All right. Multi-channel marketing. Again, Scott's another great example of this. Steph, another great example of this. There's tons of people on here that are actively great examples of multi-channel marketing, from digital, social, and beyond. Right. For us, I always look at any component of our strategy with regards to branding. I like to do in 3 different ways. Right. So one, obviously, is we want to use print. We want to use social media, and then we want to tie them in somehow. We like to do behind the scenes. So I was actually having a call with Madeline the other day. We were talking about those 3 components. She wants to do a community line dancing event, and then she also wants to write cards to invite people to do it. I'm like, well, how do you get the social media side of it? Obviously, you have a social campaign or social post that shows, hey, I'm doing a line dancing thing. But why don't you have something behind the scenes of you writing your cards, or you doing something to promote the business or to promote the line dancing event, or something behind the scenes that is more interactive than it is anything else. So again, we're just trying to layer these advertising and social campaigns on not only digital, but just to promote what we're actually trying to accomplish. Okay, and then staying consistent in tracking results. I don't think I have to say anything about it, but if you need, whether you're using Sisu or whether you're using CTE, or you just want to use some very basic tracking system, you're more than welcome to reach out to me for something of that nature. Greg, being the numbers guy, I would reach out to Greg. So if that's something that you want to track results and stay consistent, or you need a mentor, or you need somebody to keep you motivated, find a buddy. Find somebody in the collective, right? All right. Let's get going here. All right. Let's start talking about how to choose your right farming area. This is super critical. Number one thing that you need to pay attention to demographics have to fit. Not every neighborhood is built the same, right? You also have to look at the demographic as far as a cultural perspective, religious perspective, and then the actual home price and commission potential. Because if you're looking to do 10 transactions and make 100 grand, then you know that you have to sell $1 million homes. If you are trying to look at a community that is, 350K and they're just townhomes, well, it's going to take you a lot more. And is the turnover rate there in order for you to accomplish that? Probably not, right? So when we start looking at, again, the demographic and the home price, they have to align. Also, if you're looking at first-time home buyers, you got to make sure that there's not a massive retirement community. So you need to do some research around what the homes are, how much the homes are. And anybody know of a system that gives us demographic information, demographic information? It's free. It's part of eXpCON. It's called GeoWarehouse. It gives you a ton of information. Okay, you can plot certain things within our region. You can collect all that data and see if it matches what you're looking for. See if it matches the target market. Right. All right. Turnover rates. I go from 6 to 8. 4 to 6 is pretty good. But that's the balance between your opportunity and your commission or competition, right? So we're looking at how many houses are actually for sale, how many actually sell, and then we need to check the competition to see, can we take market share? Okay? There's 100 homes, only 50 sell. We got to figure out what that turnover rate is. We actually have to see, can we grab 10 or 15 of those listings? At the same time, do you think we can get some buyers that are attracted to this neighborhood? Because just getting listings is one thing, but finding buyers for neighborhoods is another thing, right? If I'm heavy on first-time home buyers, but I want to sell $1 million homes, I have a fundamental problem. My buying and my selling is not matching. But if I'm selling single-family, starter homes, and I have starter and first-time home buyers, my business aligns. I can speak to that a lot easier. Make sense? Not to say that that has to be the way. I still have first-time home buyers and still sell $4 million homes, but I'm not actively going after one another. Does that make sense? Perfect. All right. Check competition. Like I said earlier, if it's dominated by a few agents, unless you have a fundamental difference and a key differentiator between you and what those agents are, whether it be cultural, whether it be longevity in the business, it doesn't matter. Whatever that differential is, play into that. If you believe that you can take them on, then let's have a conversation around it. If it's like, if I'm looking at it going, okay, well, I'm going to take on Greg and Elmira, I think my hair is better than Greg's, but outside of that, I don't think I'm taking Greg down. Right? So there's key differentiators that you want to make sure that you have in order to get that. Another one, homeowner versus renter ratio. Make sure that you're not, again, Kitchener-Waterloo is very different, even in the construction and the development of their subdivisions. And if you don't know this about your own region, then you should probably look into it. Kitchener, for example, did more of a blended economic development structure. So, for example, Idlewood, you have 8 plexes. You have actually mid-rise, then 8 plexes, and then 4 plexes, and then $2 million properties, all in the exact same subdivision. Waterloo, not the same. Waterloo has gone from very, economic social platforms. So they have this is going to be a mid-tier subdivision, and then you have slums. They did that specifically. That was a conscious decision when developing. Okay. So again, making sure that when you're looking at listing and taking over specific areas, you're not looking at renter ratio areas. That's high rentals. Now, I'll take it a step further because we just ran this program. If you're looking for first-time home buyers, well, it might make sense to put a campaign together in those renter ratio subdivisions. And what we just did is we put together a video with a QR code and a mailer. So it was of Haley. She actually looked like the weather lady. It was a great video, but it was all about the math of, hey, why stop like stop renting, right? Here's the math of how much you're spending to rent. Here's the QR code to our video. Text us rental to this phone number. And so what we did is we took the entire list of everything that rented in eXo for the last 18 to 24 months, knowing that most, or 12 to 24 months, knowing that most leases are 12 to 24 months. So we flyer dropped everyone in that rental, and we gave them a video, showed them the math, and then had them text rent to Haley's cell phone number. And she got a number of leads off of that. So again, that was more of a hyper targeted farming strategy as opposed to a geo farming strategy. There's a difference. Okay.
I just think when you're choosing that geo farming area, right? Like Micah talked about, like, have certain agents dominating in there, but there's also a really key point that he kind of skipped past. And it's just like, if you have a specific long-term goal within that area, like if you've sold 2 houses, but you have a long-term motivation for that area to take market share, then that might be the right area for you, right?
Sure.
So like someone like Parth is a really good example, who's moved to Elmira, who's done a ton of educational stuff on YouTube and has a ton of those videos like you just talked about, where he could have, like Parth, he has for sure 12 really high quality videos that he could do this once a month in Elmira and take some market share. Because truthfully, that is, I mean, I've tried to do this with multiple people over the years there to actually geo farm it, but it's obviously my business is a lot of targeted SOI and a lot of community involvement. And that's where I've just stayed in that, and I never really got out of it. I started with online leads, where and really developed a little bit more of my business through that. But I think like someone like Parth does have a really good opportunity because he's living there, right? So there's natural built-in stuff. He's done the social background where he can actually get someone to come to his information where it's him on the screen. And yeah, you can take that market share from, because like no one in that particular market is doing a really good job of this, right? Like Sherman's and Shanna and everyone just has their book, right? It's like we're just divided into 6.
Well, that's his differentiator, right? I mean, I'm not saying that if there's incumbents in any subdivision or in any market, don't go after it. But are there gaps in their business strategy, right? And can you fill them? Do you fill them authentically, or are you interested in filling them?
And so, for Parth, like specifically, I'd be looking at people who've bought in the last 7 years who aren't like old school Elmira people, right? Yeah. Like that, those are the people I'd be looking at. Every new build, anything that's built under the last 10 years that's maybe had 2 homeowner turnovers, and just crush those subdivisions. Stay the hell out of Birdland. Like, because it's just it's a waste of his money to try to compete against me and Monique and Shanna and Emily and Brad, and like, you know what I mean? And Luke, like, it's just like, that's why Mica wouldn't do it. That's just, it's silly, right? And same as like why I wouldn't spend money against, like, on certain areas with Jen, but like, I have a different property in a different area now, and I'm certainly going to spend some damn money there because I have an intent over the next decade, right? So
Parth, let me know. We'll come up with a strategy and we'll take them all down.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to like give to that point that there's some really good things. And I mean, Parth particularly has done that upfront work that a lot of us always talk about, having that leverage. So he's almost in a really cool spot to be able to implement a strategy like this. So
for sure. Cool. All right, calculating your turnover and market potential. Very easy, guys. We're talking about number of sales divided by the total number of homes times 100. High turnover rates. 5+. I'm looking for 6 to 8. There's more potential sales. There's more agents competing, no question, but that doesn't mean they're good agents. And right now, the agents that were doing 5 deals last year are probably going to be gone. So I thank you for all being here, because we're taking the business seriously. We're taking the time to sharpen our knives to make sure that our craft is being honed. Medium turnover rate, 3 to 5%. Again, we're a little bit lower. The low turnover rates, you'll probably see this a lot. The high turnover rates are going to be that typically lower to mid-priced homes. The lower turnover rates are going to be in our market anyways, are going to be between the 1.8 and up, right? Typically higher priced homes, fewer agents competing. You'll probably see a lot of repeat business there. As you get into these smaller markets and more high luxury kind of properties, obviously that referral base is mostly how you get those deals. Try door knocking $3 million homes. Very, very rare that you get a listing. Most of them come from referrals. Not to say you couldn't do it, but just give you an idea. Those are the low turnover rates. Okay. So what I'm looking for, 500 homes plus. Most subdivisions in the Waterloo region are between 5 and 900. The reason I know that is because I blast them just listed, coming soon, just listed, just sold, and open house cards pretty much every single week. So pick a neighborhood between 5 and 800 homes, 900 homes. I can tell you, if you haven't looked recently, print plus delivery for about 800 homes, $600. It's not as expensive as you might think. What gets expensive is when you do it 100 times. But the odds are that you get listings from it are high. Okay, so 500 to 800 homes. You're looking for homes that are or subdivisions that have between 50, 30, and 50 homes sold. That's a good turnover rate. Okay, the average sale price of about 800K, which is right around where we're at right now, at a 3% commission. If you need help getting 3% on listings, please email me, email Jerry, email Greg, email Towner, email Jen. There's lots of people on here that know consistently how to get 5% listings. 3% we retain, 2% we send. Okay? That is an estimated $72K annually in additional sales if you just follow this today. Now, yes, I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee that you're going to make $72,000 by doing this. But if you're consistent with some kind of strategy for geo-farming, you will do just fine. Make sense? Any questions? All right. So here's my tips for choosing the right farming area for you. Know the market. Focus on areas that you like. Okay. That they fit their expertise. It fits your ideal client. We've already done the research, right? We're looking for this is 4 to 6. I'm going to say a little bit higher, especially right now, because we're going to have a ton of inventory. We already have a ton of inventory. We're going to see some decent sales opportunities here. So look for over 6% for steady opportunities. Okay. Evaluate the competition. Make sure you can fill in a gap. Align with the community itself. Connect through local, cultural, and trends. I don't need to say this, but different neighborhoods are built differently. They do have a specific type of culture in it. Make sure that you align with that culture. Okay. And start small. Start with a 5 to 800. And then once you figure out your system and your strategy, rinse and repeat. Go to the next one. And geographically, just because it's right beside it does not mean it's the right one for you to do next. Okay. All right, hyperlocal strategy, phase 1 through 4. Position yourself as a local expert. Know the home values, know the trends, know the key neighborhood insights. This means if there's a Tim Hortons going on the corner, you better know about it. If there is a new school coming, if there's a committee of adjustments, if there's, somebody's proposing a new build, position yourself as an expert. Why not get involved in the committee of adjustment? Why not go to these events? Okay. Phase 2, create valuable content. I would say Callum Moore has done a really, really good job of this. He's created content on agent attraction. Take his kind of model, and he used to do it for somebody else at Rematch before he got into EXP, but he used to create valuable content based on neighborhoods. So he would do business spotlights. He would do neighborhood spotlights based on the trail systems. He used to do it based on the park systems and the school districts. If you don't know, for example, you take Westvale. You don't know what schools are in Westvale, what parks are in Westvale, what trails are in Westvale. You are not an expert in Westvale. You should not geo-farm Westvale. Okay? Phase 3, engage consistently. Be visible. If there's community barbecues, get to them. If there's sponsorships available for T-ball, do it. It's about $500. Okay. If there's community websites, excuse me, or community Facebook groups, be a part of them. Or if there's not, administrate them, start them. What a crazy idea. Okay. And get involved in the community. If there's a community cleanup, park cleanup, things of that nature, get involved in them. Show up, insert yourself, be visible. Okay. I don't mean this in an actual loud manner, but get loud. And by getting loud, I mean get visible. Okay. And then expose and maximize the exposure to your listings. Again, what we do, coming soon, just listed, open houses, and just sold, all of those for every single listing and every single neighborhood. This is not geofarming, it's hyper-targeted farming. So it doesn't matter where the neighborhood is, we do this in every single neighborhood. So we now, granted, what ends up happening is you end up kind of farming that area through this process, but this is what happens from a non-seller's perspective. I have a listing in Idlewood, coming soon, just listed, open house, just sold. If I live in that neighborhood, I got to go retrieve that information or go find that information in order to find out what all those activities are. Not if I'm selling in that neighborhood. I'm going to give that information to you via card and socials all the time. So most are going, oh, why doesn't my agent do that? Well, then we end up sitting in the living room talking about what our strategy and how our strategy works. All right. Any questions on that? All right. These are active postcards that we do use. Yes, that's, obviously just high level. There's a ton of Canvas stuff. I don't need to be an expert in this anyways. And to be honest, I'm not. I have great people around me that are much better at designing postcards than I. But high level, make sure that there's a seller benefit, whether it be top dollar, smooth process, quick results. Your personal branding needs to be on all of this. We've chosen as a team to personal brand everyone, not just me. I think that that's the benefit of the EXP model and the agent-centric model of it, is that if we bring people in, we have a vested interest in them actually doing good business. So it's no longer just about my brand. I want Chris, for example, he's on here, to continue to grow his business, right? He's not in my downline actually, but he's on my team, so I love him anyway. So we're going to continue to help him build, but you get the concept, right? Delivery options, yes, you can do it hand delivered. It's time consuming. 100 is about an hour. I've already timed it. That's just a part. That's just, if you don't have the money, you have to collapse, you have to use your time in order to collapse your income, right? I suggest mailing it. It's very, very cheap. That to me, I think is the best, but you have to be consistent with mailers. You can't just do one mail drop to 1,000 and expect 10 listings. It does not work that way. Engage CTAs. The CTA, the call to action, if people don't use that, right now, we're trying to do a number of different things. We do have some QR codes that we're working with, but we're also trying to do text engagements. QR codes I found have worked in the past. I'm actually finding the text engagements a little bit better now. The jury's still out. Okay. Leveraging listings, we talked about this. But again, this is the classic saying is listings have leverage, which gives you leads. If you don't have listings, how many people on this call have listings? We're all part of the same collective. If somebody from the collective called me and said, can I list or can I market your listing? The answer will always be yes. Okay. And I'm pretty confident that if you ask anyone on this call with listings, if you could promote their listings, I'm fairly confident they would say yes too. That is the benefit of this. We're here to help each other. We're here to grow each other's businesses. So if you need something to market, you want something to market, you got to think. So the listing side too, I have a vested interest in my seller getting the most amount of exposure as possible. And if you're going to do it on your own dime, I actually don't have my seller's best interest. I'm just selfishly trying to keep my listings. Make sense? Keep that in mind. All right, maximizing impact with open houses. I don't think people realize how important open houses are. Yes, 1% of the time, you're going to sell your listing in an open house. Open houses aren't for your sellers. I can't say this loud enough. Open houses are for you. Open houses are for your brand. Open houses are for your business. Okay. Your neighbors are going to see it. Personally invite them. Make sure you have a ton of signage out. Engage on social. Make fun content. I bought these glasses solely for, well, I bought them for video walkthroughs, but I also bought them so that when I was on stage, I could do some cool POV stuff. But I then started using them for open houses. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to get my cookies and I'm going to put up my open house signs and I'm going to do a walkthrough. And I got a ton of views. Paid for themselves. My wife hates them, but I like them. All right. And be ready to serve. You're there to serve. You're there to offer value, build connections, and ultimately sell that house. Greggy, how are we doing for time?
We had 18 minutes.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Good. All right. Power of market knowledge. I think that there's a reason that we do our roundtables on Friday, because local trends, key market drivers, market rates, policies, key event, all of these things I get from other people in the collective. Okay. Do I monitor what the board puts out? Absolutely. Do I monitor certain, websites for my market indexes? Absolutely. But do I fully comprehend all of it? No. So I have conversations with people like Greg. I have conversations with people like Andrew. I've had specific mortgage brokers that I constantly call. Make sure that if you don't have that knowledge, somebody in your immediate network does. And make sure you're having those conversations constantly. Every week, this market's changing. So if you don't have those market stats, if you're not putting out monthly videos to discuss trends and tips, if you're not doing if you're not getting hyperlocal with the insights in which you're providing and engaging with your audience, you're already at a loss. Again, these are things that really good agents are already doing. Greg, you want to touch base on this at all? This is really much up your alley, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that we just talk about it. Hey, like, what's your key points that you can say in an elevator pitch if someone asks you about real estate this week? And I just think if you aren't reviewing that stuff on, like, right now, it's a daily basis. I mean, for me, with the amount of inventory that I have currently and coming, there's like it's very specific, right? So it's very specific. So that's why, like, it ties back in. And so some listings I'm so confident with, right? I mean, I'm gonna hold offers on something that's a 7 out of 10, but because it's in the neighborhood it's in and the price point that it's going to be at, I can do that with confidence. And I had to sell that last night, right? But if you're not dialed into this stuff right now, I think those are your opportunities, right? Like, we practice so much in this business, or you should be. 98% of your job should be practice, and 2% should actually be playing the game. So when you actually, like, get to play the game and you don't know what to say, then you've done all of that practice to not be able to play that 2% of the time, right?
That's a great analogy.
And that just and that's where it becomes frustrating. And I mean, there's people on this call have lost listings and gone head to head and have gone back and sharpened that axe to get better at that, right? And so I mean, I think market knowledge and those basic skills, we've been saying it since September, every Friday, that it's back to basics and back to basics and back to basics. I mean, Brandon said the other night it was like 11:30, and he said in group to me and Andrew, he's like, it is actually 3 times harder to do deals. Like,
you got to put them together now.
3 times harder. So when you can give that market knowledge up front, I think that's what helps you collapse time. And if you're consistent with it, then it really, really collapses time.
The other, 100%, you nailed that. And the other thing is, just because you know it, like, let's assume that we do know it. Are you sharing that through all your mediums? Do others know that you know it? Right? Like, it becomes really easy once you know the data, once you understand the data, to then share it in your monthly blog, right? Share it in your email blast that you do to your client base or your SOI every month, and share it into social media. Don't assume that everyone knows it. Okay. I don't know what's going on in the car industry. I don't sell frigging cars, right? I would expect a guy that, sells me cars to tell me.
I
So
said that I said that in our team meeting yesterday, right? We get so absorbed in this world that we just assume that people are sitting there looking at their home equity. Like,
yeah,
no, and no.
that's it. That's it. All right. Engaging with the community. Again, this is the engagement with the community is super, super important. Okay. So for me, this 40% is actually much higher, but 40% of buyers find the real estate agent through a referral, whether it be a friend, a neighbor, or a relative. That is from NAR. That is a very real stat. Once you've established and put into place these components in these 5 steps, you will skyrocket this number to probably 80, 90%. And at that point, you can actually start to scale your business and start making good money because the cost of acquisition drops, right? And you can get more. It's a more fun business when you start creating referral business as opposed to this smile and dial just hammering the phones constantly, right? So attend and sponsor local events, right? Get loud, get visible, build those relationships, support local businesses. If there are small independent owned, again, this is something I just watch Alan do this so organically and beautifully. It's fun to watch because if you look at his social, he's supporting local businesses that he likes. He doesn't do it because he doesn't like it. He's got a sweet tooth. So every single sweet place in the city, he knows, and they know him. Okay. Volunteer and get back. These are charities that you should actually care about. Okay. There's a bunch of things that, Alan and I have been talking about how I want to get more involved as well. Okay. And things that not only am I passionate about, Chance for Charities, it was such a fun one for me to watch with him because not only do I love the charity and what they're doing, but for me, I like to be physically active. I'm like, boxing seems like a good thing for me to do. So, find something that you're interested in, but is intriguing and that people would follow along with you. Okay. But do it for the right reasons. Personal outreach, again, you got to get belly to belly. If you're not going to get belly to belly, then make sure that you get handwritten notes out. My handwriting's atrocious, so Haley, thank you for writing a lot of my handwritten notes because people wouldn't be able to read them anyway. Stay active on socials. I think a lot of the time realtors are, we still have to be realtors, so make sure your content is at least professional, but have some fun with it. Be authentic. Enjoy the time that you're doing creating content because there's a lot of trending stuff out there. And host community gatherings, block parties, seasonal events. I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, hey, I got a really good event for you. And again, we even had a brainstorming session on our last Friday meeting, which was like, hey, is there any unique ideas for an event? And one of my clients actually reached out to me the other day. She's like, hey, I was at a Touch a Truck event. He's like, I thought about you because I think that would be a really cool one for you to do. Whether it's an ice cream event or Touch a Truck or whatever it may be, get creative with it. Barbecues, yeah. Skating, yeah, we do them. Everyone does them. Try to get creative. It's certainly going to help you bring people together and have a lot more fun with it. Sponsorships matter, of course. Greg's sponsor, and everybody should have a budget for sponsorship. I should say, Greg's. I know he spends a lot on baseball and hockey and things of that nature. We're a Blues Fest. We live down the street from Apollo, so I love supporting Apollo. But massive sponsorship with Blues Fest. This will be my 5th year. Multiple hockey teams, multiple kids sports teams. That's what I like. I like sports. I like blues and music. So for me, those are natural ones. But focus on what you really like. Focus on supporting whether it be school or sports or again, and get visible. Don't just send the money. Actually go. I've been to countless kids hockey. I don't have kids, so maybe I'm the creepy guy at the kids events. Watching baseball and hockey, but they have my name on their shirt and it really brings me a lot of joy. So get involved in something you really like. Getting back to the community, again, if you need a plan on how to do this, whether it be food delivery for seniors, giving back to certain causes that really give you a lot of joy, Yes, that is my 105-year-old grandmother. Her name's Dorothy. She is, she's one of my angels. I love her. She's still with us today. Anyways, we'll move on. Engaging through events. This one's super cool. So you can do skating events. Like I said, there's lots of different opportunities to do this. One thing that I wanted to bring kind of to your attention, there's two things that I've done in the past that really, really did me well. First is referral dinners. It'll cost you about $5,000. I know it's kind of a nut, but it was really, really good. And I actually got it from Renata Plasticity. So Renata, thank you for that. I know you're not on the call, but she gave me this opportunity and gave me this idea. And what it is you actively have a campaign out to people that say, listen, I'm looking, and you got to be very open and honest and give them what your goal for this year is. Hey, it's Mica. My goal for this year is to help 50 families move. I want to find 50 families, whether they're buying or selling or investing. I want to help 50 families, and I need your help. Do you know anybody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest this year? If so, if you do provide me a referral, and again, this is going to your SOI. And if you don't know how to build out your SOI, let me know. I have a list of about 500 contacts on how you can build out your SOI really quickly. But what happens is people start engaging. They start feeling responsible for your goal set. They want to see you win. These are the people that actually care, love, and trust you. So they want to refer you. If they refer you in this calendar year, they're going to get access and one free ticket to the referral dinner, which is a 5-course with wine pairing or whatever it is that you believe for me, we're a bunch of foodies. So I know that all of my friends are going to be like, I want a ticket for that because Jill and Mike are going to put on a ridiculous, 5-course, 6-course, 7-course. Well, mostly Jill, but you know what I mean. So that's done us really, really well. We have people that want to refer us and get tickets for that. Okay. The other one that I did really, really well was in Clare Hills. It was on Easter. I worked with somebody in Clare Hills. One of my past clients, he said, hey, listen, there's kids running around everywhere. You guys should do a scavenger hunt, put a basket out, and then just drop clues in the Facebook page from 8, 9, 10, 11, and the last one at noon. So I did that. And I was like, well, I don't know. He said, I got you. There's a huge rock right in the middle of Clare Hills, right around they have the school, and then there's this little drainage pond and whatever. And there's a big rock, and all the kids know about the big rock. So you leave clues along the way to try to get them to the big rock, and then at noon you. So, anyways, by 12:30 there was kids everywhere. They're flying around the neighborhood trying to find this basket of stuff, and I got a lot of praise for that. I sold a lot of real estate in Clare Hills as such. So something to think about. Engaging with kids equals happy parents. I probably made a ton of parents really happy that morning because their kids were out of the house. All right. Leveraging multi-channel marketing. Yes. Like I said, you want to get loud with multi-channel marketing, whether it be brand and presence. Make sure your signs, your social media, all your postcards, they have to look, feel, and be designed concurrently. If you need help with that, please let us know. There's multiple resources in the collective that are happy to help. Get involved in your community, events, sponsors, networking, build hyperlocal content, and be consistent with your outreach. Okay. Build a plan, build your goals. How many listings do you want? What kind of market share do you want once you've chosen your farming area? What kind of budget do you have? What can you afford? What's the timeline? Start marking out what your scheduled mailers look like, what events, do this monthly, quarterly, biannually, or annually. You can start plugging in events and timelines for stuff right away, right? If we're looking at Q3 and Q4, you do the back half of this year, plug in all your events, plug in your mailers, and then plug in your content that you're going to create for listings, right? Always keep time for the stuff that's obviously variable. And then track, measure, and refine your strategy as we go through it. Okay? Make them very, very clear. Target, make sure that, again, we're kind of going back to how do you identify it, but just make sure you identify your targeted area, have your clear goals to start 10%, right? There's 40 homes sold, go get 10% of that. Okay? Let's not if you're not looking at taking 50% of market share, right? So make sure that you have clear, defined goals. Grow your social media by 20% through local engagement, etc. All right. So this is what I would do if we have 4 minutes left. So I want to give you guys a quick snippet, and then we'll ask them, or we'll do some Q&A after this. But budget allocation, I would do 15K. If you can find 15K, this is how I'd break it down. 6K is going to be in your mailers and postcards. Okay, that should, in theory, give you about 12 drops, which is essentially one a month. Okay, social media ads, 2K. Again, very hyper targeted towards, homes for sale in Idlewood. Looking to buy in Idlewood? Here's my top 5 choices. Like, again, get very specific based on your targeted area. Events and sponsorships. This may be a little heavy for some. I think that this is very reasonable. You're essentially $1,000 a quarter. Hockey team, baseball team, curling, whatever, donate it to the church, whatever you'd like. Okay. Community involvement efforts, $2,500. This could be a time thing too. Doesn't have to always be money. And then miscellaneous marketing, you're always going to come up with something. Now, granted, make sure these mailers and postcards, this is not your listing budget. This is outside of your listing budget. So don't take your mailers and postcards being just listed. That's a different budget. Like, you're getting paid by that seller. That's a different budget altogether. This 15K is what I determined you'd be able to do this entire strategy with, and potentially turn that investment into a 72K return. Okay. Here's a little bit about the event planning, January through March, April through June, July through September. Again, your social media, blogs, events, postcard, and sponsorships. 5 every single quarter. Okay. If you want this blueprint, let me know. We're right at 10:28. I have a few more things to go through, but we're out of time. So I want to give you guys the ability to end the time to ask some questions in the event that you want to do so.
I think that was great. I think that last slide is very important. And there was one about 2 slides ago where the key takeaway was one more back. There you go. The key to success. So stick with it for 1 to 2 years. So that's why it's very important that you lay and map this out on a yearly basis. Also gives you an idea on like the events and all of those things on how that's going to work.
Yeah.
So really going through that and making sure that that's all laid out is massively important, I believe, to make that a success, and honestly committing to it to that 2-year basis.
Yeah.
Super.
Agreed.
So yeah, those are great points.
If you want anybody want access to this, feel free, email me, Mike@sadlerrealty.ca. I'm happy to provide you a working doc. If you want to go deep into any of this stuff, I'm also happy to provide any of, a little bit of my time in order to help you guys out. Any questions?
Great job. No questions is good news, man.
That's amazing.
Means they're not confused. So thank you for that, Mica. Thanks for putting that together, and go crush the rest of your week. Just a reminder, roundtable 10 a.m. on Friday.
10 a.m. Friday.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
There might be a question there. iPhone has their hand up.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. My name is Hina. And it's not actually a question. Thank you so much for this. It was really very useful. So I just listed my daughter's house, and I couldn't sell it. It's it's 5 days only on the market, but I really need your help if you advertise or help me out selling her house.
What's the address?
So address is 78, is unit number 25 Isherwood Avenue. Isherwood Avenue in Cambridge.
Isherwood?
Yes.
Okay.
And unit number 78.
So it's 25 Isherwood, unit 78.
Yes.
Who doesn't have listings on this call right now?
This list?
No. I'm just saying, anybody that doesn't have listings on this call, 25 Isherwood might be a good one for you to start promoting today. Yeah,
Yes, please.
we're happy to do it. Happy to help. Any other
Thank you so
questions?
much. No, thank you so much. It was really useful, and the community. So I created the Facebook group for Isherwood too, and so that's really helpful. And I was now thinking like we can have some community barbecue or something related to community because that group is working really well.
That's great.
Yeah, that was really
Okay.
nice.
Well, congratulations.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, everyone, have a great day. Enjoy the sun. And if you have any questions further, feel free to email me. Or if you'd like this presentation, I'm happy to provide it to you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Mica.
You're very welcome.